Okay, so now we're going to look at the fourth and final layer, cup of tea. So again, after we've duplicated the layer, we need to delete unwanted objects. So delete characters and captions that we don't need from the previous layer. The only ones we're going to keep are Kathy waiting, okay, from the previous layer. So that will just be a neutral, like kind of almost like a neutral pose for her. And Derek a few days, or he's saying it's going to be a few days, and Derek in a neutral pose because we're going to repeat those. So let me see here. We have Kathy waiting. That's this one. So she has her hand on her hip. And then Derek a few days. Right here. So that would be this one, so where he's thinking. And then Derek in a neutral pose, so it's just his arms are at his side. So I'm going to just go and hide some of these in the timeline so I can show you step by step. Okay, so I've hid everything except for Derek a few days where he's thinking, and Kathy where she's waiting for the answer. So this will start at cue point 1 at 0 seconds exactly, because we're just doing a continuation again of the previous slide, right? And the initial state will be hidden. And here are the triggers here. So change the state of Kathy waiting to normal. So she'll change to normal. And then Derek a few days to normal. Okay, and then cue point 2, we're going to have Derek in a neutral pose. So that, again, we've copied from the previous slide. And then Kathy in a relaxed pose, so arms at side, smiling at Derek. Okay, so I'll just unhide those. Derek neutral right here. So he's just standing with his arms at his side, or whatever you want to use. And then Kathy relaxed. Right here. And she just looks like this. Arms at the side again. So it's almost the same as in neutral pose. You could copy that from a previous one if you'd like as well. All right, and we'll just go over the triggers for that. Change the state of Derek neutral to normal, so we're going to show that. Change the state of Kathy relaxed to normal. And then change the state of Kathy waiting and Derek a few days in the previous poses to hidden. Okay, let's just go look at the script before we go any further. Okay, so that part had no dialogue because it was just the narrator talking. Okay, so now we're down here. So this is the narrator just talking. They looked at each other and, felt like yesterday. And then we have dialogue. Would you like to join me for a cup of tea before you go? I just made a fresh pot. And that is Derek saying that. And then Kathy says, yes, that would be nice. And then the narrator just says that they stood sipping their tea. They missed each other's company, that kind of thing. Okay. So we'll look at cue point number 3 now. So we need the caption, Derek cup of tea. So he's asking the question. Derek cup of tea. Would you like to join me? And then we need his actual pose. Derek tea, I called it. And so that looks like this. He's just leaning forward with his hands in front. Okay. And again, all these initial states are hidden. So I think those are the only 2 new ones for that one. So these are the triggers here. So first you insert your cue point there. Change the state of the caption, Derek asking if she wants to join him for tea, to normal. Change the state of Derek tea pose to normal, and change the state of Derek neutral pose to hidden. And then cue point number 4. Okay, so what we have there is a caption, Kathy saying yes to the tea. Kathy's pose for yes to tea, so hand on a hip, maybe a finger pointing forward. And then we'll do the trigger. So this is all cue point 4, and all the initial states are hidden again. So the caption, so that's up here. Kathy, yes to tea. Yes, that would be nice. And then her pose. So that looks like this. So she has her finger pointing forward there, hand on hip. And then, yeah, I think those are the only two new ones. And then the triggers for that. So cue point 4. Change the state of the caption, Kathy saying yes to tea, to normal. Change the state of Kathy, yes to tea, to normal. And then we hide the previous ones. The Kathy relaxed, so that's her neutral pose, to hidden. And caption from Derek asking about tea, to hidden. So cue point 5, we're going to have Kathy and Derek drinking tea now. So we'll have Kathy drinks tea right here. So the poses I use for this, I had both hands out because I'm going to place a little teacup there. And then we have Kathy's tea right here. So it'll be in one of her hands. You just place it there. And then Derek drinks tea. So again, his hands are going to be out as well. And then we need a picture of Derek's tea cup. I think that's up here, yeah. There we go, there's his teacup right there. Okay, so I think that's all for that cue points, and I'll just go over the triggers. So we're going to change the state of Kathy drinks tea to normal. That's her pose, and then the state of Kathy yes to tea to hidden, so that's her previous pose. Then change the state of the caption, Kathy yes to tea to hidden. Change the state of Kathy's teacup to normal. Change the state of Derek drinks tea, so his pose, to normal. Change the state of Derek's teacup to normal, and change the state of Derek asking about tea to hidden. So you can label these differently. This is just what I did. Can get a little confusing, but just do it step by step. Basically, all you're doing is making the state of objects that you want to show up at a certain point normal, and all the previous states of objects to hidden that you don't want to show up at a certain point. So we'll just look back here at our setup here. So very similar to all the other ones. We duplicated it, we delete unwanted objects, then we insert all these poses and captions. Okay, Derek and Kathy listen, look at each other, neutral poses. Derek asks to join him for tea. Kathy says yes, and Derek and Kathy drink tea and chat. Okay, so now we're going to add the fade animations to the characters. So pretty much everything is going to get the fade in and fade out, except for Kathy waiting, so no fade in, and Derek a few days, no fade in. So those are the original ones we copied from the previous layer. Okay, so there's no fade in on those because we want it to be seamless with the previous one. Okay, so I'll just show you those ones again. So this one, she's just waiting with her arm on her hip there. And then Derek thinking. He says a few days from the previous one. And I'll just show you what that looks like. He has his hand on his chin, thinking. Okay, so those ones don't get a fade in. Okay, so I'll just show you that now. And then we're pretty much done just setting it up. Okay, so here's the final layer here. They're looking at each other while the narrator's talking. Would you like to join me for a cup of tea before you go? I just made a fresh pot. Yes, that would be nice. Now they're drinking tea, and that's pretty much the end. So now we just have a few more things to do. So for each of the layers, we're going to have to copy in the text from the script and pick a voice and pick a language. So you can, if you want, you can translate this, Google Translate, put in a different language if you want. And then what I did too is a little different. Instead of just having a narrator say the whole thing, whenever there's dialogue for the characters, I chose different voices. So you can do that as well. You can have a narrator, and then you can have Derek voice and Kathy voice. So I did that as well. Let's just go to the base layer here. So you'd first go to the script, just go to the beginning here, and you'd copy in the text here. All right, so you just copy. All right, and then you're going to go to Insert, And you're going to go to audio, and then you're going to go text to speech. Okay. So we're not going to actually do this right now, but this is what you would do. And you'd like copy in your text like that. And then you'd pick your language, pick your voice. So you can try these all out. I picked Sally. You can preview.
Hi, my name is Sally. I will read any text you type here.
Okay, and then you would insert that, and that would be the narration. But then you would insert for anything like where the characters are saying something or thinking something, you could just insert a new voice for that. And then you insert silence during that time so that the narration is not heard. So I would just put it all into the narration at first. Okay, so I'm not going to actually do this again, and then you'll just cut out the parts you don't want the narrator to say and just have the character speaking. And then make sure you label it in the timeline as well so you know this is the narration. Okay, so I'll just unhide this. We have the narrator speaking right now. And I'll just show you this. If you double click, you can see the audio, and there's certain place like right here I have silence, and that silence was put in there, okay, because Derek is going to say at some point, I wonder what she wants. So to do that, wherever you want to insert silence, let's say you wanted to cut this out, I'm not going to actually do it, but you would just highlight a certain point. So let's say that's where the narrator says, I wonder what she wants. Then you just click silence and it just deletes it, and then you save it, save and close, and then you can add other audio for Derek. So right here you can add just the audio for that part, so you can just play that down here if you want.
I wonder what she wants.
Okay, so I used a different voice there, so I just went to audio again, text to speech, and I chose a different person. Okay, so a male voice, so you can pick one. And then I just copied in the text, like I wonder what she wants. So I just went, I wonder what she wants. And then I just chose the male voice, okay, to speak that. I'll just show you what that one was. There it is. So I chose Matthew, and there's the text right there. Okay, and then you just place it where you want it. So you're gonna have to time this. You're gonna have to put in your narration, and then you put this, and then you put silence in here for the narration so that only Derek's voice is heard. And then this will help you to time your cue points. So cue point 1 here is at 11.5 seconds. Cue point 2, for the different poses. So basically it changes every time there's a change in the script with the, the pose will change. And then with this, here's the speech bubble, the thought cloud appearing. And yeah, and then all the other poses, you just time it with the script where they appear. Okay, so if I just continue playing here, I don't think you can see it on the screen here, but we can see it when we preview.
He glanced at his own reflection on the black tablet screen. He was an understanding,
okay, so this is where those poses would be showing up.
Dark brown eyes
and then at the end you'd show the next.
His friends saw
layer.
him as a...
Okay. So that's all you really need for the base layer for the text-to-speech. It's just narration and then one character speaking. And again, you just insert that as another text-to-speech and label it Derek. All right, so let me just test that slide now.
Derek Wu looked at the silver tablet in his hands and felt happy. He owned a computer repair shop that he'd started a couple years ago after he had finally decided to live out his dream. He walked over to the window and reflected on his busy surroundings. He had always loved crowded New York with its fast-paced lifestyle and towering skyscrapers. Then he saw something in the distance, or rather someone. It was the figure of Kathy Nolan, who he had gone out with a few times months ago. She was a hard-working teacher with brown eyes and long dark brown hair.
I wonder what she wants.
He pondered. Derek gulped. He glanced at his own reflection on the black tablet screen. He was an understanding, sympathetic tea drinker, with dark brown eyes and pitch black hair. His friends saw him as a diligent, ambitious do-gooder. Once he had even helped a poor injured bird recover from a flying accident.
Okay, so that's it for the first layer in terms of the text-to-speech. All right, so let's just go through the other layers now and do the same thing. So again, you're going to go to the script and you're going to copy this text. And then you're going to insert text-to-speech for the narrator only first. Okay, so you're going to copy that in here, use Sally, and then you're going to insert. Okay, I'm just going to cancel because I've already done it, so I'll just unhide that. And then wherever there's dialogue, okay, you're going to insert another voice. So like Derek, we already talked about that one, so I'll just show you again. Right click, go to text-to-speech here. I've copied the same thing in, so that was in the narration, just for the dialogue for him, and use Matthew as the voice. And then we need a voice for Kathy. Okay, so I'll just show you what I used. So she says, "Hi Derek, how are you?" And I used Amy, United Kingdom, for her, but you can, do whatever you'd like. Okay, so again, to insert those other two, you just go back up here to audio, text-to-speech, and it'll just be a different, just the dialogue, and then you just label it down here in the timeline. And then after, you can then move your cue points around to time it, all right, for the different poses and where they come in. So you can just look at mine, you can copy this if you'd like. Okay, so we have about 7 seconds here, 11, 15, 17. All right, so I'll just preview that now.
Derek Wu looked at the silver tablet in
I'm
his
just going to
hands.
fast forward a little here.
Drinker, with dark brown eyes and pitch black hair. His friends saw him as a diligent, ambitious do-gooder. Once he had even helped a poor injured bird recover from a flying accident. The wind blew like an untamed beast, making Derek shiver, as Kathy opened the shop door and stepped inside.
"Hi Derek, how are you?"
she said joyfully.
"I'm pretty good, it's nice to see you."
Derek replied.
"What can I help you with?"
Okay, so that's that part, so that's layer 2. And again, with this, you can, since you already have the text-to-speech, the closed captioning is already there, so I'll show you that after. You can just activate it, okay, when you do the playback. As long as you have it in your, you go to the home tab here, you go to the player, just make sure it's already set up. Yeah, so we already have it here, captions, okay? So you make sure that is going to show up there, the closed captioning right there. Okay, so now let's go to the third layer and do the same thing. So we have the narration right here, so we're going to copy that in from the script. So just copy everything, even though it's all dialogue, just copy it in because you need those parts where the narrator says Derek guest and things like that. So you copy that in, and then we go to the insert, audio, text-to-speech, and you'd copy it in here. Okay. And then you'd insert new text-to-speech for the Kathy and Derek here. So we're just going to unhide those. So here's Kathy, what she says here. So you just put that in, and then the same with Derek. That's what he says. And then again, you move your cue points around till you get them where you want. So you'll have to test this out a bit. I find it is easier to just kind of play down here to do that.
"My laptop won't turn on." I was hoping you
So
could take
you
a
won't
look.
be able to see it necessarily, but
Sure,
you can at
it
least
would be
move
my
those
pleasure.
around.
He replied enthusiastically.
Okay. So let's just go preview this one now.
What can I help you with?
My laptop won't turn on. I was hoping you could take a look.
Sure, it would be my pleasure.
He replied enthusiastically.
I'll get your computer running like new.
Thank you. How long do you think it will take?
She asked.
I'll take a look right away, maybe a few days.
Derek guessed.
Okay, so that's all for layer 3. And then the fourth one, similar thing, you're going to go to the script and you're going to then copy this in. Okay, so I'll just unhide that now. And then Derek and Kathy. So the same thing, so here's your narrations. You go to insert audio, text to speech, copy that in. Change the voice. And then Derek, you put what you want in for that. And the same with Kathy. And then you have to move those around. So remember, move them around when they need to come in. So you can just line it up with the narration, and then you go to this one and you're going to delete out. So you're going to insert silence here, so like I did. So all I did was hit that again where the dialogue is, because you have different characters' voices, right? And then you just save and close. And then make sure those are coming in at the right spot, the Derek and Kathy dialogue. And that's it. All right, so let's preview that.
Derek Wu looked at the silver tablet. They looked at each other with relaxed feelings. It felt like yesterday that they'd been out on the town enjoying a nice meal together.
Would you like to join me for a cup of tea before you go? I just made a fresh pot.
Yes, that would be nice.
Kathy replied. As they stood sipping their tea, they talked like no time had passed, and both of them were thinking the same thing, how they had missed each other's company.
All right, so that's the end. So now we really only have one thing to do. You might want to test a few more and, tweak it a bit, make sure everything's the way you want. But now we can add our background music. So you only need to add that to the base layer, and it's going to play through all the other layers. Just make sure it's long enough. So you might want to time this. When I timed it, the whole thing was about 2 minutes long. So you should find some music that's at least that. And then you can always cut it off if you need to. And if you want free public domain music, there's a lot on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, you can find the public domain music there. So if you go to the audio library in YouTube, this is where you can find free music. Okay, and you can just you can download it here. So I would suggest that, and find something the length you want. Here's the durations. So now we're going to insert our music. So I chose one of those. So find one, and all you need to do is go to insert audio from file. So download it, and then you just go insert it, okay, from a file, and then it'll just put it in there. And if you do have to tweak it, if you do need to cut it off at some point, okay, you can always do that by double clicking. Or if you need to change the volume, I adjusted the volume here for this as well. You just go to your volume, you can bring it down a little bit and test it out. So there's a lot of testing, a lot of playing around with it. And then if you want it to fade out if it's too long, a trick that I use is I just kind of start, let's say back here, and I decrease the volume a tiny bit. And then I move here, and then I decrease the volume a little bit more. And then here, a little bit more until it's almost 0. Now, it's not ideal because Articulate Storyline 360 does not have a fade out for this audio. So that's all we can really do at this point. Or you could edit it in a different program, like and then add your fade out, and then just insert it. So that's another way to do it. So now we have our audio in there, and so now we'll just go test it.
Derek Wu looked at the silver tablet in his hands and felt happy. He owned a computer repair shop that he'd started a couple years ago after he had finally decided to live out his dream. He walked over to the window and reflected on his busy surroundings. He had always loved crowded New York with its fast-paced lifestyle and towering skyscrapers. Then he saw something in the distance, or rather someone. It was the figure of Kathy Nolan, who he had gone out with a few times months ago. She was a hard-working teacher with brown eyes and long dark brown hair.
I wonder what she wants.
He pondered. Derek gulped. He glanced at his own reflection on the black tablet screen. He was an understanding, sympathetic tea drinker, with dark brown eyes and pitch black hair. His friends saw him as a diligent, ambitious do-gooder. Once he had even helped a poor injured bird recover from a flying accident. The wind blew like an untamed beast, making Derek shiver, as Kathy opened the shop door and stepped inside.
Hi Derek, how are you?
She said joyfully.
I'm pretty good, it's nice to see you.
Derek replied.
What can I help you with?
My laptop won't turn on. I was hoping you could take a look.
Sure, it would be my pleasure.
He replied enthusiastically.
I'll get your computer running like new.
Thank you. How long do you think it will take?
She asked.
I'll take a look right away, maybe a few days.
Derek guessed. They looked at each other with relaxed feelings. It felt like yesterday that they'd been out on the town enjoying a nice meal together.
Would you like to join me for a cup of tea before you go? I just made a fresh pot.
Yes, that would be nice.
Kathy replied. As they stood sipping their tea, they talked like no time had passed, and both of them were thinking the same thing, how they had missed each other's company.
Okay, so that's it. And again, if you did want to put in, show your closed captioning, it's just right here. You're just gonna click this. So I'll just review just maybe that last scene. You can see with that.
They looked at each other with
There we
relaxed
go.
feelings.
So then the closed
It felt
captioning
like yesterday
will end up
that they'd
right at the
been
bottom.
out on the town
And
enjoying
since you
a
already
nice
have
meal
text-to-speech,
together.
it just kind of shows
Would
up
you
on
like to
that.
join me for a cup
Once
of
you
tea
click
before you go? I just made a fresh pot.
Okay.
Yes, that would.
Alright, so that's it for how to build the letter C example. I hope everyone was able to complete this little example, and we'll see you next time. So I hope everyone learned a lot from what we showed you today for the letter C and creating the little story example that we did. If you'd like to be notified when we upload new videos, please subscribe to our channel, and then you'll get notified immediately when we upload videos. So until next time, take care. Bye for now.